Within our production, we followed the majority of conventional characteristics of the horror genre, as well as the structure and aspects of a teaser trailer. There are also a few things we chose to do slightly differently as to make our production unique and enticing. This draws inspiration from Steve Neal's theory of repetition and difference. The incorporation of successful, established conventions makes the product recognizable to the audience and satisfies their expectations. We succeeded in producing a teaser trailer for a film of horror genre, incorporating elements of supernatural, mystery, as well as psychological. In this evaluation of my production, I shall be discussing how effective the decisions we made regarding following and challenging conventions were. In terms of introducing our characters, I felt we successfully used conventional elements, including dialogue and a voiceover, to convey their relationships and feelings.
Is everything okay?
It's nothing, don't worry about it.
This, I feel, allowed our audience to identify with them and gain some knowledge about the narrative. The protagonist of our piece was Eve, a young female. We constructed representations of her as taunted and victimized. In terms of props character types, she could fit in with the category of the princess, as she is rather weak and helpless in comparison to the almighty antagonist. It is typical of horror to feature predominant themes of fear and mortal human inferiority, and so I believe this was effective. This can be seen in other previous and renowned horror films, including The Grudge and Insidious series, as the young, attractive female characters are terrorized by evil and hounding spirits. This allowed our audience to easily identify the roles of the characters featured. This is useful in inciting similar emotions of fear into our audience. I believe that we succeeded in creating an audience response typical of the genre, as our audience found that our use of sound, particularly non-diegetic music, helped set the dark mood with the inclusion of jump scares. Regarding narrative, we also adopted a typical linear structure in which our events occurred in chronological order. Starting the piece with the state of equilibrium allowed for our audience to identify more with the character and understand the situation. This was followed shortly by a disruption which indicates the genre of horror, and events start to become more bizarre and concerning as the narrative progresses throughout the trailer, building anticipation. As a teaser trailer only exists to tease the audience, we abided by conventions of this as to not give away too much information about the plot of the film, as this would spoil it for the audience. In my research, I found out that giving away too much can spoil the release of the entire film, and therefore deters audiences from watching. Therefore, I am confident in our decisions made regarding content, and our audience pointed out the enigma from not knowing the form of the antagonist, expressing their interest in the film. Our use of iconography was also attributive of the horror genre, such as blood and gore, which we used in our teaser trailer to create a particularly intense end scene. I think that this helped us increase audience appeal, as I know from previous research that most horror fans like the extreme, and this made them more curious about our film. One of the ways in which our product was perhaps a little different from the norm was our limited characters. In most teaser trailers, multiple main and supporting characters will be introduced. Due to our limited availability of actors, our piece contained just two key characters, Eve and friend Jess. This enabled us to imply greater focus upon our protagonist and victim of the piece. This was desired, as the narrative possesses psychological elements, and so the audience should be encouraged to analyse this character's nature. We also avoided the use of titles consistently throughout the piece. Instead, I feel the addition of voiceovers helped to set up the narrative, but to improve, I think that perhaps if we included more titles, the piece could have been more effective. In conclusion, I believe that we utilised conventions skillfully, as well as making some things a bit different, which resulted in a production that is conspicuously of the horror genre, as well as allowing for the identification of the subgenres mentioned. Consequently, our product was enticing for our audience, and the sense of mystery acted as an enigma.